Good morning, fearless leader.
I am.
All right, we are ready for your updates to start this show off. If we can keep it short, I would not turn that down.
Yeah, me too. Folks, have you ever had one of those times in your life when you have a task that you have to do and you know you have to do it, but it's not the right time, it's not the right moment, and you sort of sense that, and so you're waiting for that right surge of energy and insight and inspiration and everything to get it done, and it finally happens. And then you have to stop and do something else, like a webinar. That's where I'm at today. I'm all head up, ready to go and knock something out that needs the knocking. And so I'm in let's just keep it brief tonight. I want to reassure everyone that whatever you're seeing out there parading around as the Global Family Bank is not our Global Family Bank. It is a look-alike, sound-alike licensed British Crown commercial bank, and it does not have the standing to issue credit or money. But our system, our AFD and everything, we managed to get in and get copies of everything that we needed. We have all of the declarations, we have all of the accounts, and your AFD is safe. Now, my best advice is to ignore anything from this thing calling itself Global Family Bank, because it's no longer our version of a Global Family Bank. It is no longer a publicly chartered American International Trade Bank. It is a licensed British Crown franchise commercial bank, and it has it's no different than any other British Crown commercial bank. So don't believe anything that you're hearing from them or about them, because, hey, it ain't going to happen. And we are doing our due diligence to make sure that it doesn't happen. We're making sure that what they've done has been reported. We are making sure that their false claims against our assets are being intercepted. And from there on, it just goes on to step 1, step 2, step 3. Meantime, I am busily working on all these different fronts. We have the assets of the United States of America, which I claimed and which we have more or less located. We have the assets of the Avila Family Trust. That's a big issue that I'm working on. We have other major trusts, American trusts, that I'm working on. And we have, of course, the whole issue of the Saint Germain, quote, World Trust that was hijacked in much the same way and converted into a statutory trust, which it never should have been, and then was put under the caretaking of the World Bank, which it never should have been. And here we have a situation where yours truly has a personal fortune involved in all of that, that I'm more than willing to dedicate to all sorts of good works. It's far too much for any human being to spend in a lifetime, or 2 lifetimes, or 3. Okay, so we are looking at anything. We're looking at a gross abundance of assets and resources, credit and currency. And one of the most pressing problems is investors seeking things to invest in. And you'll see why that's a problem as we go forward. But in any event, I want all of you to just kick back, ignore all of the gossip, ignore all of the nonsense, all of the fear mongering, the threats of war. No, just ignore it. Just, these people are shameless. They are liars. They can't help themselves. They don't know the truth if it came and bit them on the butt. And they're continually creating problems for themselves and others with their overactive imaginations and their projecting of things that they see in themselves. They project it out on other people. And I guess that is why their modus operandi is always the same. That whatever the other guy is accused of, it's what they're doing themselves. And so just consider the source, realize that these people are liars. They've been caught in big lies, and this is all going to come back on them because the truth always comes out. But in any event, your stuff is safe. Our bank didn't do anything wrong. None of our people, except for Hunter, did anything that was questionable, nasty, or improper. So for the most part, everything that was associated with us was good. It was solid. We didn't do anything wrong, and you have nothing to worry about. The rest of it, the work on the recoupment of our assets and the reorganization of our diplomatic relationships and our, I guess you could say, our fact-finding research regarding the status of all these different governments and government entities has progressed to an astounding level now, and we're pretty much ready to deal with all of the things that have been going on in terms of corporations, commercial corporations masquerading as governments. So a lot of this stuff is coming to a head this week. I expect that our bank will be up and operating under a new name by September 1st. I expect to have the final version of the new public laws that we're considering fully detailed and out to you sometime later this week, so that you'll have like the official copies of the information and the verbiage, and can look forward to your own schedules and see when you can put together the assembly vote on these matters. We have a lot of goodwill from people all around the world who are rallying to the cause of mankind versus corporations. We are seeing a tremendous shift in public understanding of the issues. We are getting an outpouring of professional and academic support that was simply not there before. That is coming in part because of the international public notice diplomatic testimony that I did a couple of weeks ago. It is circulating, and as people are being able to read the words and hear the words and think about it, they're finally getting it. They're seeing the immensity of the fraud that has been committed against each and every one of us. and that is having a tremendous impact. So don't feel so alone, folks, and those of you who are acting as coordinators and as land recorders and as officers of your various positions and committees and assembly pillars, get ready. Now, I keep saying this, prepare, rest while you can and prepare because you're going to have an unprecedented number of people wanting in through the outdoor, right? All these people that have been standing around calling you, labeling you as sovereign citizens and tin hats and, oh, that's just grandma. Well, there are going to be a lot of desperate people wanting to change their political status, and they're going to be headed toward you all at a dog trot with their papers in hand and their indoctrination still stuck like sludge around their brainstem, and they are going to need you to explain things to them. They're going to need you to change that indoctrination so that they don't come here to our assemblies and try to turn our assemblies into district assemblies. Okay? They're going to come to you looking for community. They're going to come looking for a friendly, informal atmosphere. What they do not want, and ultimately what nobody wants, is the corporatist, legalistic hierarchy, 52 manuals and 72 statutes for everything. No, that's not what we're here for. We're here for a community-based government. And so I want everyone to keep that firmly in mind. Our government is not the government that you're used to. Our government is really quite different. Our government is a government for people. Our government functions like a family around a dinner table. We may argue, we may fight, but at the end of the day, we're all still family. And it's much less regimented, much less according to a written word and more according to a underlying philosophy, understanding, and respect for individual rights, which is something that, of course, the British system and the Roman municipal system has no respect for individual rights at all. So if you've got problems understanding this, if it's creeping into your assembly and you're seeing signs of people that are trying to get back to, oh, I don't know how to operate without a standard operating manual, tell them, oh, that's too bad because we don't need one and we don't want one. And if we can't talk it out and come to rational decisions and keep things simple, then there's no point in changing, is there? If you're just going to recreate the same evils and the same insensitivities and not change your values, then why bother to be here? And it's not just a matter of advantage. Some of these people show up, and the only reason they're here is because they heard that they could avoid federal income tax reporting for their business. Or the only reason that they're here is because they wanted to avoid property taxes. Or some other, they heard that there was money to be had, so they want to sign up and get their share. Well, I'm sorry, that's not what this is about. It's about self-governance. It's about owning, in the sense of owning up to this entire country and taking care of it properly and taking care of our people, taking care of our resources, taking care of our cats and dogs, and protecting them from harm, which is the government's only ultimate responsibility. Why do we have a government? Let's hear it loud and clear. To protect the people and their assets. That's the only reason for a government to exist. And with that clearly in mind, we're not here to delve into their personal lives. We're not here to judge them for their religious beliefs, their age, their sex, their race, or anything like that. We don't care about, whether they have a philosophical leaning toward progressive ideas of social justice and welfare for all, or whether they are the mean, clean, frontier, do-it-yourself guy over here. Our job as the government is to protect them and protect their assets. And if we're not out there doing that every single day, then we have no right to claim to be their government, which is one of the arguments that I use quite often when I'm in diplomatic situations and other countries and other institutions like banks and whatnot are looking at me and they say, well, who are you? What makes you the fiduciary for this government? And, and I ask them, well, look around. Who else is here? What other organization is here fighting to protect the rights and the assets of the American people? And they all look at me like, well, it isn't Donald Trump. I hate to tell you, it's not Donald Trump. He's out there looking out for number one, and number one isn't you and me. And it isn't any of these other politicians either. For a long, long time, our government, our people have been misrepresented or not represented at all. So it's up to us to get our stick in the water and do the essential job of government. It's up to us to protect our people, protect their assets. And in the end, that means protecting each other to the best that we can do. And I hope that you are all thinking about issues related to your assets. What are your assets? What are your private assets? What are your public assets? What has to be done to be able to manage both private and public assets? Do you have your own affairs in order? Do you have a last will and testament? Do you have a guardian for your minor children? Do you have your own ducks in a row? Have you figured out what you're going to do with your property? Get yourself together and then turn your attention toward getting your assembly together and getting your county together, and that will get your country together. And then imagine it, I can finally retire. See, I'm out here with my whisk broom going, come on, kids, get going, get going. So expect a lot of strange things to come out in the news over the next week or two. I mean, strange. Some of it will just be plain BS, just something to, grab your attention and pull it away from whatever's actually important and happening. Some of it will be really just weird news of the man bites dog variety. And you're going to have to use your discernment to see through what they're peddling. But my best advice to you about all of that is just to turtle down, keep your attention focused on what matters to you and on thinking about what matters to you and how you can help promote your government and how you can help protect your family, and think about your happy place. Think about the world you want and just keep centered on that. And by doing that, you are actually setting up a sort of energetic wave, if you will, a sort of forward momentum toward actually realizing a world at peace, a world of abundance, and a place where everyone can live and breathe and thrive and be alive without the constant pressure of all these mercenaries intent on stealing, murdering, and, war for profit. So just getting rid of that will be an amazing change. And that's something that we're poised to do. So let's all stick together and keep our heads on and keep our eyes on what matters to us, because there will be no end of wild stories and weird mainstream footage and UFO news and all sorts of stuff. So just try to avoid all that to the extent you can. And, well, remember Edgar Allan Poe. Don't believe anything you read and only half of what you see. All right, well, so let's take a few.
I was thinking more the insanity is much in the eye of the beholder as beauty is, quote, but
That too. Edgar Allan had quite a lot of insight into life and people, and it's not I don't think it's a coincidence that insight was born in the same period of time that all the initial craziness after the Civil War was going on. So do we have a question or two or three?
Or 700? Here we go. What would result if each American removed their 401k funds and invested in America?
You cut out there, Shannon. If they took their 401ks and what?
Invested in America instead of the U.S.
Well, that would do a lot. That would be a terrific change. That would have the effect of a gigantic national boycott. And really, I advise everybody to think carefully about what you can invest in and develop kind of a, I guess, a three-part investment strategy where you invest in things that you know you will need in advance so that you have, food and water and fuel and things stored up to get yourself by for a while. That's an important thing to have locked down and ready to go. Think about what you can do in terms of making your position in the world more secure. I would, at some point, this whole business of the Federal Reserve note is going to boil over. And so when they're openly admitting in federal court that the Federal Reserve note has no value, it's a purely symbolic value, you can pretty much take it to the bank in a way that these banks are going to close down. They're going to take all of the deposits of Federal Reserve notes and they're going to try to roll it. They're going to try to do something where the banks seize onto the evidence, because it's literally evidence of a crime. And they're going to try to sell you on a digital currency of some kind. It's important not to be sold on a digital currency, because that then becomes something that the hey Shannon, your mic is on. But anyway, you got, other than investing in things that you know you're going to need in advance, it doesn't make any sense to keep anything in these banks, because they've already told you that the Federal Reserve notes have no actual value and that people cannot be arrested or charged with theft for stealing them. So you know that the banks are already set up to just seize whatever you've got as Federal Reserve notes in those banks. They've already announced that they own everything that's deposited with them, and that means your bank deposit boxes are no good. You need to go get whatever you've got in bank deposit boxes out. That includes credit unions. I would keep as little money in those banks as is practical in order to, buy those things that you need to buy via credit cards and that sort of thing. But investing in gold and silver isn't always the best answer either, because as long as these maritime banks have got such a monolithic stranglehold on everything that goes on in transactions and business, they're going to be messing with the gold and silver markets too. The central banks have been commodity rigging precious metals for over a century. And when they say, oh, well, you can only exchange, $300 worth of gold a day, they've got a strangle on that too. I don't know how many of you experienced it, but during the recent market kerfluffle over the value of silver, it was impossible on numerous occasions for people to get a trade for precious metals into any kind of fiat currency. So there are lots of things there to consider. It's good to have some gold, some silver, yes. It's good to have food in your pantry, big yes. It's good to have, any medicines that you're going to need. Try to sweet talk your doctor into setting up a prescription for you so that you can get a couple of months ahead. Things like that. And get your money out of the banks. That makes sense, including your 401ks. But really, it's kind of a crapshoot out there, folks, because depending on what sorts of measures are taken, they can make it awfully difficult to exchange gold and silver for usable in-market currency, domestic currencies. And on the other hand, they can steal domestic currencies at will. So you see that it's all building up as a damned if you do and damned if you don't sort of situation. And the only real true safe buy that is not going to go astray is to invest in things that you're going to need or that your family is going to need in a real crunch. So there's my thought.
Okay, next question. Do you have an alternative means for reaching you other than the known email and phone number, so we can actually have longer discussions about justices and judicial preference?
Well, we do have the ability to do Zoom meetings. We do have the ability to do free conference calling. And I do attend quite a number of different group meetings on a regular basis through the course of every week. It's not just here at the webinar or at the coordinator call on Thursday. But you have to realize that I have a lot of work to do above and beyond everything that you're aware of with the assemblies and everything. The assemblies are kind of an extra job at the moment for the Federation. It's not part of our normal workload, it's just extra. And so at the same time that, I'm trying to go around to all the assemblies and help out with questions about the jural assemblies and the militias and all this stuff, I'm also having to deal with banking matters, with recoupment of assets, with investment of time and effort of our staffing all over the country, and all the diplomatic outreach and all of the paperwork in support of it. And it's kind of overwhelming. So it's kind of a catch as catch can in terms of meeting times. And also bear in mind that because a lot of the work I do is international, it's at all times of the day and night. I'm trying to meet with people on the other side of the world about things, and, for them it's tomorrow or it's midnight at, I'm getting up at 6 a.m. and they're going to bed. So it's very chaotic. And so right now, especially until we get our bank reopened and we settle some hash on some of these banking issues and asset issues, I'm kind of keeping my pert nose to the grindstone here, making sure that the money issues get sorted out, or at least making as good an effort as I can to make sure they get sorted out in our favor. And that's likely to take me through September, first week of September at the rate things are going. So I've got another month to 6 weeks of just hard slogging. And I hope you all understand that and will bear with me with all of the different things that I have to do.
Okay, Anna, what is your personal response to all of the new GFG webs going out, such as the new login, new name, new credentials, and new contracts to sign with them?
Don't have anything to do with it. They're just trying to trick you into giving them control of your assets and your estate. And so they're trying to trick you into the same old crap again. They're just using the familiar name and look as a storefront, as bait, once again, substituting behind the scenes, just like they substituted their state-of-state organizations for our state-of-state organizations, just like they substituted the United States of America Incorporated for the United States of America Unincorporated. They're doing the same exact shtick. And it's called mirroring. It's a fraud scheme. It's illegal. So by all means, stay away from what is now still presenting itself as if it were the American bank when it is in fact a British knockoff. So just stay away from it. When we reopen our bank, all your accounts and everything will be there, but it will be a different look. It will be a different bank name, and it will be set up in such a way that they can never commandeer anything again. And in the meantime, I'm going after them hammer and tongs to put an end to that behavior and all of those kinds of things that have been going on our shores, so that they can no longer commandeer American business, and so that they can no longer, force people to use Federal Reserve notes and all the other things that they've been doing that are improper, illegal, unlawful, and immoral. We're pushing for a major change, not just a little change. We are looking at the lawful conversion of all these corporations to bring them back under the umbrella of land law and forcing them to operate properly with respect to the people versus the corporations. So when you look at me, you're not looking at somebody who is just going to settle for half measures or getting my own tail out of the fire and to hell with everybody else. You're not looking at somebody who's going to stand there and say that what's wrong is right. I'm not going to do that. Neither should you. It's like a half lie, right? It's only half a lie. Well, it's then still what? It's still a lie. Oh, it's only half a crime. Oh, it's only half a loaf of bread that I stole. No. No, it doesn't work that way. You either do the right thing or you do the wrong thing. And we're not going to get stuck in the middle. So whatever basis we have for going forward in this world, we're going to go forward on a solid basis. We're not building on sand anymore. We're not kicking the can down the road anymore. We are consciously and forcefully demanding the kinds of changes that will result in peace and abundance for the entire planet. And if that is too tough on some corporations, well, I guess those corporations will just have to go away. They'll have to be dissolved. They'll have to be liquidated. They'll have to be forfeited. So, Shannon,
All right, next question. Unless you're ready to call it.
I can feel your discomfort across all the miles between us at this point. Shannon has had some oral surgery this week, and so he's having a hard time. And I do have that inspirational moment where if I don't use the energy now, it's going to dissipate and I won't be able to get the work done. Or at least I'll have to wait for my next window. So, folks, I'm going to call it early tonight. I hope you forgive me. I hope you understand that when those moments
I
of
forgive you.
inspiration hit, I really need to make advantage of it. And also realize that Shannon is here in misery. So let's let him go home and,
No, not in misery, just in keen eye.
well, close enough. We'll let you rest and relax. Okay? And we'll see you on Thursday, and we'll see you next week. And if you do have something that's you think is real urgent and you want to have a Zoom call, just use the regular emails and telephone contacts, and we'll try to set that up. Okay? Everybody, spend some time in your happy place. Think good thoughts. Realize that the sky is not falling. Everything is under control and we're looking good. So just hang on and we will get where we're going. Okay? So see you all on Thursday and keep the faith and keep the fires burning. Good night.